Hello folks, we're going to take a look at the Pokemon Sword and Shield character Raihan, Kibana, whatever you want to call him. I'm going to stick with Raihan. And this is the Figma of him. So I did actually cover a scale word version of this character, but the Figma is what I was really excited about. Pretty big. I didn't expect this to be that big. He is a lanky character. I know he's like 6 foot something, maybe like way above 6 foot. I can't remember, but he's a pretty tall character, and the Pokemon here, Duraludon, is pretty tall as well. So yeah, the box here is pretty big. A really big window display that lets you see Duraludon right there. Pretty hefty looking Pokemon there. You get 2 faces for Raihan, and then 2 Pokemon Rotom phones, and then you get the Ultra Ball there, 1 Ultra Ball, and then you got the figure on the right. Like I said, he's a very tall guy. He is standing taller than the Pokemon itself. Otherwise, the packaging border is pretty simple. Figma and then Kibana at the bottom. So it's Raihan for us. SP-137 is for the number for this one. And then what we've got a side portrait of Kibana there. On the back, you've got more pictures, various pictures and poses of the character with the Pokemon and everything laid out. So it does come with different hand parts as well. So that's pretty cool. Some more pictures on the side, same for the top, and then more pictures I believe down at the bottom. So very similar to Good Smile, Nendoroid stuff. But let's get this open. So before we get into the figure, I'm just going to say there might be fireworks going off in the background again, because once it's fireworks day, everyone wants to do fireworks for the next like 2 months. So here's the figure with all the parts laid out. So we're going to go through those first, and then we'll go through the actual figure, or 2 figures. So it's a Figma, which I haven't unboxed in a long time. I haven't touched a Figma in ages, I realized. So I kind of forgot what was accompanying their usual kind of figures. So you get a little bag to put all your parts into, so you hopefully shouldn't lose them. You're probably still going to lose some bits. You get a stand as well, which is included here. So recently I've done Revoltech figures, so this stand is a little bit small. The base is definitely smaller than what comes with Revoltech figures, and then you get the usual kind of thing to just plug in there. I've already assembled it, and then this little bit here, extension piece, can be added onto this peg here, and either or can be plugged into Raihan himself. You get this extra arm, which is actually going to be used for the Rotom phone. So this comes on a thin, very thin arm like so, and it's got different points to kind of move it. It comes apart like that, but I didn't really use this too much. So it clips on here onto this part of the base, and then you apply Rotom onto this end piece here. So pretty much like a selfie stick really, but very simple stand. I think they pretty much are the same for most Figma. Design looks a little bit different from the last Figma I recall. Now with Raihan, you do get a few different option parts. Now actually the figure doesn't come out of the box like this. It doesn't come with that hand attached, and I'll explain why in a moment. So in terms of hands, actually the fists, these 2 fists here, are going to be what's actually attached to Raihan figure when you take it out of the box originally. So if it's a brand new figure, that's definitely how it should come. So you get the gloved hands up top here, and then you get the bare hand, his right hand, down the bottom here. So I'll give a closer look at the gloved hands first. So you get 2 hands or a pair which kind of are supposed to be grabbing something. Now to be honest, I don't know what he's supposed to be grabbing. Maybe you can use that as a selfie stick, I suppose, but then Rotom kind of glides around or floats around on its own. So I don't know, I didn't really use this pair of hands, but it's there if you wanted it. And then you got the fists here as well, and then you got one to hold the Pokeball, or the Ultra Ball in this case, which I've already attached because I didn't want to lose it. So hopefully I don't lose that. I'll take it out now. Actually, I'll show you the Ultra Ball right here. So this is the Ultra Ball, very tiny. Hopefully you can see that in I'm using, yeah, my fingers are big, so it's not really going to give you the best look. But it's a very simple designed Ultra Ball, and the paint is pretty much what you expect. It's there. It's the Ultra Ball, right? Hopefully it doesn't come apart from the hand. It's pretty much the same size from what I recall of Figma Red having. I haven't touched a Pokemon Figma in a while, so that's my last recollection that I'm recalling right now anyway. Then you get kind of like this hand here with the curved fingers. Both, you get a bare hand and a gloved hand, which is cool. And then this one is to actually hold the Rotom phone. So you can see it's got flat on the palm there. They can potentially, you can use these to hold Rotom. I tried it, but the Rotom kind of slips out. So definitely try and stick to this one if you can. On the right hand, or the bare hand, sorry, the left hand is the bare one. You get an individual solo hand with thumbs up, and then that's basically it. The rest are going to be the same. So you got this waving hand here, open palm, which is already attached for the other hand, the right hand. And then on the other side, just to show you the back side of the glove in particular, really cool design. I love the kind of asymmetry of the black and the blue, and then the Pokeball kind of half design there. Really cool. I love his glove design. Very cool, if I do say so myself, right? What do you guys think? I love them. Now, Good Smile Company do supply the figure with one spare wrist peg like so. Just to kind of show you, this long piece goes into the forearm itself, and then the short peg is the one that attaches to the hand. Now, this is actually the original one, but it was starting to get creased and have the kind of stress mark there, you can see. And then this is probably going to end up breaking. So what I didn't want to happen was have this peg stuck in the forearm. So I decided before that even happens, I'll just swap out with the spare part that they give. So they only give one spare wrist peg, which is a shame. You're definitely going to want to use more. Or in my case, I definitely would prefer having one or two extra instead of just one, because it's a little bit tricky to change his hand. And I'll show you that in a little bit more detail as we get to swapping parts. In terms of faces then, so Raihan actually doesn't come with this face either attached to him, but as you can see, it's with the smiling, with the smile eyes, big fat open mouth. Really love this face. I do love the face. Actually, all his faces are amazing. He's a very good looking fella. So this is the actual original face that should be attached to the figure when you get it out of the box, if it's a brand new figure again. So obviously you're not going to see much of his eyebrows because of the way his hat is. So here, this just gives you a look of the eyebrows themselves, and the top eyelids as well, which is, again, you're not going to see too much of once you've got it attached with the hat in place. But he's got nice blue eyes there, really nice kind of facial features with this guy, sharp pointed nose, really cool looking smile, very long smile he's got. Hopefully that was not out of focus, but here we go, focused again. Really nice looking smile and face. You got the earrings, the studs, gold studs on both ears, on all faces, which is cool. And then long grey sideburns, or the shaved sideburns. Really cool looking face there. And then the other alternate face is going to be one where he's got a little bit more of a serious, ready look expression to him. So this face is also awesome. I love all of them. I love every single face this figure comes with, and I love the little sharp tooth that he has. Pretty typical for an anime character, but I love it. This is a really cool face anyway. You can also see in this particular face, the eyes aren't symmetrical. They're slightly different. Now, I don't know if that's intentional or an error on my one, but I don't mind if it's an error. It actually adds a little bit more character to it, in my opinion. So great looking faces with this guy. Then we come on to the Rotom phones. This is the two Rotom phones you get. So you got the portrait one, like so, where it's got default Rotom expression with that kind of goofy grin there. It's nicely done actually. It's not like horrible paint or anything. Solid red plastic, but all the detailed features are there. It's very tiny, so try not to lose it. Not the tiniest thing this guy comes with, like the pegs and all, but small. And then the front is just going to be plain, but you can see the feature at the top, the little kind of lightning bolt, and then the tail bit, you could say. So cool there. And then you get the landscape version as well. So the same expression at the backside there. And this is how it is on the other side. Now I'm going to go through Duraludon before I actually go into Raihan, because Raihan is the best part of this package personally. So we'll leave the best to last. So with Duraludon, now if you saw my previous video on Pokemon Scale World stuff, I did cover Duraludon and Raihan. They came in a pack. This Duraludon is obviously bigger. Scale World stuff is in a particular scale range, 120 scale. This is different. But in terms of material of Duraludon, that Duraludon, I'm pretty certain, weighed a lot more than this one, which is bigger. This is just a hollow plastic, and it feels in my hand a lot like a child's toy. Now that could be good or bad, but you know, it looks fine. But I'm just saying, the other one was a big hefty chunk of plastic. This one is pretty lightweight, all things considered. So he's bigger definitely than a Scale World one, but definitely lighter weight. And I think, well, let's go through it. So you can see he's just pretty much plain white in the way his design is, but they have captured all the kind of important feature elements of this Pokemon. So the kind of zigzag going down there in grey. This particular belly piece or torso piece, which is not actually flat, it's a textured piece, which is still going to be the same as what you may have seen in my Scale World video as well. You got all the other kind of stuff going on. So the underbelly of the dark blue, the kind of toenail, let's call it that, dark blue again, and then his palms or claws, dark blue. So yeah, all of that is there. His face features all there as well. It's got a tip up there, so nothing really moves apart from his two arms. Here you can see they just got up and down. So really, this guy is pretty much just going to be in a fixed position. The backside is like so. You can see the texture bit or the protrusion bits there, and then the silver lines down there. Mine has a little scuff of blue at the tail bit. Couldn't clean that for some reason. It might have been knocked during manufacture or assembly, but who knows. But otherwise, yeah, it's a very simple design. Like, it's cool and all. It's clean design and everything. But I think I actually prefer the Scale World one, and that's not really common. I'm not a huge fan of Scale World. I think they're a little bit expensive for what they are, but I actually think I prefer Duraludon there than I do here. But still, you know, this figure comes with Duraludon. It makes sense to come with Raihan as the partner Pokemon. But yeah, I think the Scale World one was probably a little bit better, but it's not bad looking either. Not bad looking. But let's get to the actual meat, or the best bit of this package, which is of course my boy Raihan. So this is Raihan. So just to kind of recap for anyone that does not know, Raihan debuted in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. He is one of the gym leaders in the Galar region. He's a very cool looking character. Now, one of my usual critiques of Pokemon is they don't flesh out their characters a lot. He's kind of similar, to be honest, and yeah, I kind of give a lot of flack to, say, Marnie for not being fleshed out a lot. But this guy actually looks cool. Marnie is kind of not my kind of character, but this guy, yeah, his design is awesome. I love the way this character is designed. I think it's such a cool, appealing, very cool looking character. So I'm kind of being hypocritical or double standards in that. I don't mind he's not fleshed out as much. But yeah, this guy is clearly very cool looking. He's got a very confident way about him. And I like that. I like that this character shows that a lot in the few cutscenes that the game has. And I'm sure it shows it more in the animation. But this guy is super cool. Now, in this figure form, in the Figma, that's captured throughout as well. So all these key features are here. So you've got the gloves that we saw before. You've got the Dynamax band here. Here it does rotate on it, but I'll get to that in a little bit. You've got the hoodie, which is super popular and iconic with this character. Everyone knows and recognizes his hoodie, which you can buy, by the way, officially from Pokémon Center Japan. It is a real item, very, very big item in real life, I believe. I think it's super oversized, but yeah, you can get that hoodie. This hoodie looks great here as well. I love the hood actually there. You can see the teeth, or what are supposed to be teeth as well. Very cool looking hood. It doesn't move, sadly, but very, very cool looking hoodie overall. And then his shorts, like so, with all the details on the orange trims and then the logos and numbers as well. So you've got the icon there, and another one on the left leg. Very cool. His legs are bare, but they're nicely sculpted, very clean. His skin tone and everything is very nice as well. Really love it. His sneakers are dope. Right, they are dope. These are dope sneakers. I don't care what anyone says. These are really cool sneakers. They do move at this point here, but the sculpt on all of the sneaker stuff and the design of them are very, very cool. They're captured really nicely in this Figma. So yeah, this Figma definitely looks the part. Now, actually, by the way, let's have a look at his inside the hoodie as well. As you can see, he's in that dress shirt right there as well. But this guy, very, very cool looking. So as I said, a couple of these things have already been swapped as well, so it doesn't come like this out of the box. But as you can see, there'll be a few different alternate ways to pose and have this figure on your display. So that's going to look great. But let's go through the articulation, and actually I'm just going to reveal that he doesn't have one hand. That's deliberate. Don't worry about that. So what you can do with articulation, he's got his head movement down below. He can go up. Obviously, you want to move his hair strands up a bit to get a bit further up to look upwards. Now, speaking of his hair, each one of them on the back does come on a little ball peg, so you can move them a little bit as well. Not this top one here, but all four of these, pretty good to know. So the head's all really good there. No hoodie movement exactly, so you're going to be stuck with that, but it's okay. I think it's fine. His arms can move up and around, and that's the kind of range of motion that you're going to get with them. There's no twist there. It looks like there's a bicep cut there, but it's not. You got the elbow bend like so, and then you've got the hand, which I'll show you on here, which does the usual kind of regular movement up and down and swivel. The actual Dynamax band on his right hand does swivel, so when you do change his hand, be careful this doesn't accidentally slip off and you lose it. That could well happen with you, but otherwise arms are pretty straightforward. Twist wise on the torso, he doesn't have a lot. It's mainly down here, but he can bend down, thank you very much, and then back a little bit as well. So but when you do bend him down, you're going to have massive exposure at the back there, and this kind of goes back to the way the figure looked, talking about aesthetics again. So the way his hoodie is designed, you can see the kind of cut into the shoulder bit, under the shoulder, down here to the side of his belly and torso. But this bit here of the hip area of the hoodie is separate in terms of like it's not joined to the back. So it's weird. It's hard to describe it. This is one piece here that connects up and around to the hoodie. So the hoodie and this bit are one thing, but then the actual body of the figure is a separate thing. But that's kind of cool. It works, I think. Like, it might not look the best. From the front, it's fine. From the side, you might not really like that view, but I think it works. And because of this bit here, this allowing to raise a bit, as you saw, that's what actually allows Raihan to put his hand or his wrist peg into his pocket. So you would need to take off the hand to do this and make it look pretty cool, but it does allow for that really cool kind of character pose where he's just kind of relaxed, hands in pocket. So that's cool. I like the way they did this. Actually, I'm not hugely against it. I actually do think this is pretty good the way they did it. Now with the legs, or well, cover the twist there with the legs, there's no pull down, but he does twist here, and then he can twist and bring his legs far apart super well. My joints are a little bit kind of loose, so it was a little bit annoying, but it's okay. And then you got a knee bend right here, like so. So really his leg articulation is fabulous, it's fantastic, amazing. You got this little twist bit on the heel here. That's good again because it means that the actual joint is free there to kind of move up and down and kind of shift and pivot as well. So that's great to have loose here rather than it being fixed. They could have done a cut at the heel, which I don't like, which Bring Arts, if you recall, do those. I hate the Bring Arts way of doing it. This is a really good way of doing a heel, I think, if you've got high top sneakers on. And then finishing off with the toe hinge like so. So in terms of articulation, this guy is pretty good, I think. I mean, you're not going to get him into any amazing like Spider-Man poses or anything, as in you could, but why would you want to? Because he doesn't really do that. But you're totally going to get functional poses and realistic poses for the character that he is. So when he's kind of like getting really into the groove of battling and he splits his legs open and then he's like, hey, I'm ready. You can get those poses perfectly fine. Balance is a little bit weird with this character though, by the way. So when I try to get him to stand, if you're going to get him to stand in a very static neutral pose, then it's probably fine. You're not going to have too much issue. It's once you start splitting his legs out a little bit and then moving his arms a bit, I think it's the hoodie. I think it's the hoodie that's kind of bringing the weight of the figure back a bit. I think that's the case. Let me know what you have, or if you have that issue with this figure. But I think balance is a little bit weird with this figure, but you've got a stand, or you can just use some blue tack if you want to. But yeah, that kind of wraps up the articulation and the way the figure looks. I think it's great. The articulation is great for what the figure is. He's got more than enough to do what he needs to do. And yeah, the figure looks great as well. Raihan is a very cool looking design. But let's get on to swapping some parts. And this is where things get potentially interesting and a little bit concerning. And that's going to be dependent on your own personal copy of this figure. So when it comes to the face, that's going to be quite simple to do, hopefully. It's a little bit awkward because of his hoodie. You can't do anything with his hoodie. So you're going to have to kind of put your thumb in his face and then pry out the front section of his hat. That reveals the face there. And then you got to take off the faceplate. So it's standard to what you would expect with other Figma and even Nendoroids. But it's just because of the hoodie that it can get a little bit tricky. And for me, the face kind of sits very snug and sometimes way too tight. But it's okay. Once you get it off, it should be okay. I'm going to use this one because I love this expression. Just plug the faceplate or alternate faceplate back in like so. And then again, same thing with the front of the hat. And there you go. Hey, that wasn't so bad, was it? Oh, he speaks with a British accent. That wasn't so bad, was it? So that's pretty simple to do. Just mind the hoodie. It's not sharp, by the way. You shouldn't really hurt yourself with this. It just makes it a little bit awkward to get the faceplate changing. Swapping the hands is where things could get a little bit frustrating and probably upsetting for some people. So what would happen in the best case scenario is when you take off a hand and want to swap the hand, this peg stays in the forearm. That's going to be the best way to do it. And obviously it doesn't break. But for me, for both hands, what actually happened is this peg got stuck in the actual hand itself. And that means when it gets stuck in this hand or any hand that it's on, you have to kind of faff around and try and get the peg loose from the hand. That can be very tricky to do because obviously it's a small piece, or you might end up damaging it. So one of the ways I would recommend of changing Raihan's hand, and this might apply to a lot of Figmas actually nowadays. Like I said, I haven't tried a lot of Figmas in a while. So I'm going to put this hand back on. So when you do take the hand off, I'm trying to get it on snugly, so hopefully I can demonstrate it better. When the hand's on, let's say you get it out of the box. If you've got thin fingers, this is going to be hopefully easier for you. I would say pinch it and try and get your nail into this little bit here of the ball joint that's closest to the hand itself. So you're trying to keep the peg in the forearm, not here. That's unless you want to remove it from the forearm, but here. And then slowly just try and pull away and see how far you're getting. So for me, actually, it's a lot better now, but see how far you're getting. Do it bit by bit. And so if say it's just come off, but say it hasn't. If it's pulling away too much from the forearm, push it back in, try it again, because it's just going to be very annoying if it gets stuck in the hand. You do have the spare to try it with, but there's a strong chance the spare will do the same thing as well. So yeah, that can be a little bit frustrating. And because of that frustration, or that issue, you saw that my particular joint, which I've kind of misplaced all of a sudden, my particular joint did have that stress mark at the peg here, where you have the joint. And that means it's probably on its last legs, and that's going to be very kind of dangerous. You don't want the peg to be stuck in the hand, or a broken peg stuck in anywhere, because then it's a hassle to try and get them out of the forearm and the hand. So just be mindful of that. It is a Figma. I know it can happen with some people, but it's a shame they haven't kind of figured out a way to do it. I think that happens more with Figmas these days than it does with other kind of figures, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, as I mentioned earlier on though, when you do change the hand for the right hand, just be careful of not to lose the Dynamax band. It's not the smallest of items, but you could still forget it when it comes to swapping the hand. So remember, he has a Dynamax band that should be on him at all times. Now, the rest of the parts, actually, there's not a lot to kind of do. You can use the hand where he's holding the Pokeball, as I mentioned or showed right at the beginning. The Pokeball just kind of sits in between his first two fingers and the thumb. So this is really nice. This actually does grip the Pokeball hand quite well. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to swap hands with this one. Why not? Definitely do not lose the Pokeball, because you've only got one, and it would suck to lose that. And yeah, I don't know who else comes with an Ultra Ball, or if you can get replacements easily. So that would suck if you lost the Ultra Ball. So there we go. Hand swapped with the Ultra Ball. Looking very cool. I love this hand. I actually think this hand is amazing. His hands are definitely quite cool looking anyway. I think it's just, again, the character design is very cool. But this particular hand is super cool looking. And once you've got it attached, depending on the face you've got, you can have him in a very confident way, or just kind of jokingly confident, and different kind of expressions and kind of body language with this character and the articulation is very cool. But that's really how you swap his parts. It's not hard to do. A couple of things to definitely keep in mind. So like I said, this is a bit frustrating, and definitely how you kind of maneuver with the wrist pegs, which is going to be something of a concern for some people, I'm pretty sure. Overall though, this is a really solid package, and obviously that's thanks to the Raihan figure. I think he looks awesome, thanks to an awesome designer as well. But he's really fun to play with. I actually had a really good time handling this Raihan. Obviously, he has a couple of issues as far as Figma joints go, and I hope that you guys don't have that issue if you're going to pick him up, or anyone down the road who plans to pick him up. But I really love the way this figure has turned out for the most part. I just had a really enjoyable time with it. Now, this package does come with Duraludon as his Pokemon of choice, which makes sense. I'm not attached to Duraludon as a Pokemon, but that too has turned out quite well as well, and it plays the part that it needs to perfectly fine. This package is Pokémon Center Japan only, as far as I believe, so it could be a little bit hard to find and therefore a little bit expensive, but I definitely think it's worth checking out this particular figure if you're a fan of Raihan. So yeah, good luck trying to get this if you are able to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed having a look at this Raihan and Duraludon Figma with me. Stay safe wherever you are, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!